I'm at the Apollo Cinema in London talking about my favourite film of the festival thus far, Restive, and this time I'm fortunate enough to be joined by the leading lady, Marianna Palka. Welcome to Raindance, Marianna.
Thank you for having me.
Unfortunately, I only got to see Restive on a screener, and I'd be really curious to know as to how it plays in a theatre with an audience. I understand that you've just come out of a screening this very minute, and hopefully they were as engrossed as I was.
They were, yeah. It's been madness. It's been really fun. It's been incredibly well received, and the theatres are very large. I thought we were going to be in some sort of intimate screening rooms, but we were really in some big cinemas here, which is really cool. And it's been incredible to see what the London audience thinks of this film, because it's very American.
Heard any particularly interesting sound bites coming up of the screening?
Yeah, actually, it's a little bit like people coming out of Trojan Women or something like that, or like a Greek tragedy. Like, people are genuinely ripped up and holding one another, and they're upset. So it's been interesting to hear snippets of conversations as people have been leaving the theatre. People are very moved, which is a testament to Jeremiah and what he's done with the film.
Now, what would you have thought a decade ago when you were interning on indie film sets if someone had told you that...
Oh my God, you know my whole life.
Oh yeah, we're getting to that. If someone had told you that 10 years later you'd be starring in a film like this and running for your life?
Well, I would have... A part of me would have believed them, and the other part of me would have just completely not believed them. But yeah, that's amazing. I came to America with $17. No, that's not right. I came to America with $100 when I was 17. I moved to New York with just the idea of like making films, and to devote my life to the theatre. So I feel like that worked out, which is good.
Yeah, obviously has. But before we get to that,
dreams really work.
But before we get to the dream coming true bit, I wanted to ask you, if that's all right, about the interning, because it's the kind of tales from behind the camera that we rarely hear about. Yeah. And you've had quite an interesting background. You interned on both this underrated little scene Kevin Spacey gem, The Big Kahuna, and amazing. Gary Winnick's Sam the Man with Fisher Stevens.
I totally did intern on those two films.
You did, apparently, which to this day, to my mind at least, remains one of the best of the digitally shot films, when there was this whole explosion of indie filmmakers, realising the potential for digital as an avenue for theatrical distribution. So I suppose what I really wanted to know was, what can you tell us from your time in the trenches and how those experiences have helped you get to where you are now?
Well, I think I definitely, and I haven't really thought about it like this, coming from having been an intern, but I think that I always felt like being kind on a set is really the number one thing to do, and everything can be achieved through that. I think that it doesn't make sense to have any bad blood or anything mean going on. I think that everyone is on the same level, and everyone's trying to make a film and make something, genuinely good. I think it's really good to rule as a director with love and not with fear. The only way anything gets done is with enthusiasm, and so I think that that's what I definitely learned. But I think I always just knew that, but I can't really operate. I can't do my job without being nice to everyone and kind to everyone, because I feel like they actually enable. On a set, I am really enabled by talking to PAs and talking to Crafty and sitting around and just being friends with everybody. I think it's fun, and I find it really inspiring, and it's actually the way I can go into an emotional scene or something is just to have a real conversation and a rapport with everyone around me, because it makes me highly comfortable. Yeah.
Well, yesterday, as you know, I spoke with Jeremiah about the
The
film's
genius
complex.
Jeremiah Jones, yeah.
Quite a genius, given the structure of this thing, and how he was telling me how that was always on the page and it wasn't built in the editing room. Now, he also told me that cast and crew, they had a version of the script that was linear to help you guys make sense of things on the set. So I'd like to hear a little bit about that, and also your first experience when you read the script, in the order it is that we see in the film. Just reading it for the first time and trying to decipher Restive as a reader.
Well, it read as a heart, gripping thriller. It felt like you were being choked while you were reading it, and it was, the script moved by really fast. I read it in one sitting and was compelled by this female protagonist and her journey, and I found that she, I just felt like she was really strong, and that she leaves the film very strong, and so that was also compelling. The catharsis of the character was something I was really drawn to, and I think Jeremiah really achieved something incredible. It's kind of like a feminist movie, at least it's a humanist film, but to be Jeremiah Jones, who's from Crawford, Texas, who grew up there and played football for a number of years, and then wrote this piece of pure genius. It's incredible. It's incredible what he's achieved and how it happened, because it just sort of struck him like he had to tell this story. And I remember the first time we talked about it, he spoke a lot about real women who are in abusive relationships and what that cycle of violence is like, and that compelled me further into doing the film and making it truthful, kind of on the behalf of women who really go through this, because a lot of them don't survive it, one way or the other, and so it was kind of a homage to them in a lot of ways for me.
I haven't seen you in too much since you wrote, directed and starred in Good Dick a few years ago.
Dick?
I did, and I loved it.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's cool. Did you see it here in London?
I saw it on DVD. I ordered it from the States.
Nice.
Because I'm a big Mark Webber fan.
Oh, nice. Me too.
And I was saying at the beginning, I met Jason years ago when they did a play. They did Neil Butte together.
Totally. That's where I
And
met
Jason was nice enough to have a drink with me, and kind of been a fan ever since. So.
Well, that's amazing, because the reason that I wrote the part for Mark in Good Dick was because he and I are really close, and we were really close because we met while we were all living on Danbury Street in Islington while they were doing that play. So that's really cool. But Mark Webber is also the reason why I say dreams work, because that's what he says. It's like his...
Oh, right.
It's his little tag or whatever. It's like his saying that he says.
Yeah, I want him to come back and do more theatre. I always make the effort.
Yeah, he should do that. He just did a film with his son. He filmed his son in this feature film that's really incredible, that he wrote and directed, and I just saw a cut of, and it's so exciting.
So it's like a rough cut he showed to friends?
Yeah, he showed me and the mother of his child, Frankie Shaw, who's an incredible actress. She's on a TV show called Blue Mountain State. So yeah, he showed just the two of us, and Ray, who's our mutual friend, who's in the film also. But it's a great film.
So I was saying I hadn't seen you since Good Dick had come out, and I really wasn't prepared for what this role entailed, and I imagine you felt the same way. Were you a little bit intimidated by it before signing on?
Actually, I wasn't intimidated. I wouldn't describe it as intimidated. I was excited. We had a lot of fun on set. I mean, we really had a good time, and the film is entirely tragic. It's like a tragedy, so you can't, there's not a lot of jokes or like funny moments in the movie, but we had so much fun between takes, and also at night we would be singing songs on the porch in Texas, and teaching each other different things about like where we were all from, and it was just really exciting and fun to work with all the great actors in the film. there was so much mutual respect happening that it was really like summer camp or something, and so I was more excited than intimidated. I think now, having seen the film and seeing like everything that I went through emotionally, and the way that Jeremiah and I like created the arc of the character together, it's something that I'm really proud of, because we achieved something awesome, all of us together working together. It was a good collaboration.
There's probably more grunting and groaning in this film than there are actual lines of dialogue, so I'd be really interested to know how it is that affects the way you approach the inner life of the character when you don't have the words to lean on.
Well, there was a lot of action in the script that, we could put a lot of meaning into. We injected there was a lot of meaning in there anyway, and Jeremiah encouraged us to communicate a lot, not just with the words that we were saying, but with our bodies, and obviously with the accent. There's a lot of cultural stuff that just comes out of you when you're doing a particular accent that's not your own. So that wasn't, I guess it wasn't something that we were really aware of entirely while we were doing it. We were just trying to get it to be as realistic as possible in the moment.
And you weren't aware of it reading it as well. I was wondering what it must have been like to read that, and like I said, didn't seem to have much dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we were trying to, as actors, and I think, with Jeremiah's guidance, we were really trying as much as possible to be as, in the moment as we could be with one another, and out of that came like a real feeling that is communicated through the film that it's almost like the film has its own language of movement, that we're all doing. It's an interesting ensemble cast, and the way that we all work with one another is really interesting.
One of the first shots is Jeva's husband coming up to the camera and screaming your betrayal down the lens after you've poisoned him.
Chris Denham also being a genius.
Am I right in saying that this is not really a flashback per se? It's more Jeva's mind's eye as she's out there running in the woods somewhere thinking about the husband that she left behind?
Yeah, I mean, you could look at it in a number of ways. You could look at it that it's Jeva's dream, or you could look at it as it's his dream, or you could look at it as he's really doing that and he's out of his mind and he's screaming at nothing. There's many ways to interpret those moments, which is also a testament to Jeremiah's work, because it is so lyrical and beautifully crafted that he's this Texas director, but he's speaking to the sensibility of a European audience. He's really leaving things open for interpretation. He doesn't spoon feed anybody anything, which we learned very quickly as actors working with him. We understood that he had his own sensibility and he was sticking to it, and it's really obvious in the film.
Well, you're quite right, because a lot of these Texas set films, they tend to come across as Southern fried, and I forgot about that within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like the accents and all the things that, the markers that show it to be Texas, you very quickly forget about that stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
And just focused on the psychology of it.
Yeah.
The film sets up the difference between depiction and description in one of the discussions, and most of the time the film chooses to depict rather than describe. In one scene, Jeva finds a piece of wood carved with a tally. It elicits this emotional response, but we can only guess at why, so I'd like to know, where did this come from? Did the sun make it, and what does it mean?
Well, the scene that is in the scene in the bathroom, the first time we see a piece of wood that has tally marks on it, is Jeva making a mark in her own board. This is what Jeremiah and I talked about. This is what he described to me. She every time she's beaten by her husband, she makes a mark in the board so that there's some kind of release or some kind of marking, or she's like keeping track of the madness or something like that. Somehow it's like a comfort to her to do that. And so the son sees her doing that, and later in the film we see Jeva cleaning her son's room, and she finds a board, and it's his own board where he's been marking the times that she's been beaten also, which is really upsetting for her. And I think that that's really interesting to me, the idea that you would, you know, like when people are in prison, like they write like tally marks on the wall, because there's some kind of structure to it. Like, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. I find that somehow fascinating.
Yeah, I didn't actually know it represented the number of beatings. I actually took it to mean the number of days since she first felt that relationship had soured. But
oh, that's pretty. It's like a beautiful, pretty idea. Like it's been this many days since I've hated him. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, you can, again, it's Jeremiah Jones, so it's open to interpretation, which is what's beautiful about it, because you can't, even when you play what Jeremiah told us it was, like, there's more to it than just that, because of the way that he leaves things open. So it's wonderful. I like that. And it's the kind of film where you go away from it and everyone has something to say about it, and everyone's talking about it because everyone has their own interpretation. So it makes for a good pint after you've had, you know, after you've gone to see the film, or it makes for a good dinner discussion.
the film has an interesting way of charting how a relationship sours. Like we were saying, it's not...
Yeah, how a toxic relationship sours, definitely.
Yeah. It's not a series of disagreements and arguments and dramatic showdowns. It's more just looks between them and how the dynamic shifts and how they come to regard one another as time passes. And again, I did get the sense that the domestic scenes sometimes felt as free of words as the chase scenes did. The poisoning, for example. So how did you play that, or just describe the feeling of playing scenes like that?
Incredibly easy, because Christian was really fantastic to work with, and we were kind of talking to each other even though we weren't using words. You know, I think that there's a real kind of dance that happens with actors anyway, where you're communicating a lot through your body and your eyes especially, and so it's fun when you find someone else who can do that. It's kind of like sparring or something, or playing tennis, like hitting a ball and getting the ball back and hitting it again. Like you say something with your eyes and they say something with their eyes, and it's just like a beautiful way of treating a scene. So I never really missed dialogue in those scenes. I was never like, God, I wish I could say like, how are you, honey? You know, like I didn't miss that stuff.
And finally, let's end this on a light note. What's it like going to set that day and knowing that you'll be playing a scene where you have to smother your own child and choke your attacker in quick succession?
That's a good question. My gosh. I was doing a Texas accent the whole time I was there, so I was really immersed in the culture and the sense of humor and the politics and the religious values of that part of America. And I learned a lot, and I shot a shotgun and, went to Snake. I went to like the snake, my friend who came to visit me went to see snakes. And there's just so many things going on in that part of the world that are so fascinating and so different from Glasgow, Scotland, or London, or New York, or Los Angeles. And so I found myself incredibly humbled by the manner of people and the kindness that I experienced while I was there. And I also felt like, people who are in difficult situations, like Jeva, the character that I play, she's taken to a place that's so extreme that, hopefully all of us only, see that kind of, experience that kind of tragedy in cinema, or in a book, or in a play, or in a song, but not in our own lives. I mean, that's genuinely what tragedy is there for. It's like to reflect what's going on, or what might happen, or teach us something about ourselves and our experience. But hopefully you know, we never have to make those kind of decisions in our life. But she is put in a position that made sense to me logically. She has to do something in order to save her child. It's like Sophie's Choice or like Trojan Women. I mean, she is put in this really difficult situation, and so it's the lesser of two evils for her to do something like that. And I think, you know, if you ask any mother, it's a horrible question to ask, but if you asked any mother, you know, would you rather have your child murdered by a stranger, or would you rather gently let them pass into, you know, the other realm gently and kindly, like as, you know, as painlessly as possible? Then I think any mother or father actually would, you know, obviously say that the more painless way would be the way to go. But it doesn't stop that scene from being horrific, and actually, you know, it didn't stop me from having, as an actress, to kind of turn a part of my brain off, because obviously children are incredibly dear to me, and I'm a very happy person, and, you know, I kind of had to think about it like she was joking she wasn't joking, but she was like pretending for the guys so that she was like, you know, showing them somehow that she could be as tough as they are in order to save his life. Like, I saw basically the way I played that scene is that I saw the entire thing as she was trying to save her son. So I know that when you're watching the film, the complexity of that is communicated, and that was achieved. And so I feel incredibly grateful having worked with Jeremiah, because we really trusted one another and you know, illustrated something that I think is incredibly complicated, that people put in difficult situations have to do very difficult things and make incredibly awful decisions. So yeah, when I remember driving to set that day and being like, all right, this is what we're doing today. But it was also great because, like, the whole time I was laughing with Connor, who plays my son, and joking with him and giving him sweets, and, you know, he and I were best friends, and like he was totally comfortable and I was very comfortable, and so we really did something that I don't think many movies do. You know, it's definitely an original film, you know.
Well, after playing a porn addict and a mother on the run, I'm hoping that something...
She was an erotica addict, actually.
An erotica addict, I'm sorry.
We should talk about that later.
To get that right, yeah. I was hoping maybe next...
we should talk about the difference between porn and erotica, because there's a distinction.
Yeah, I think that could be another interview entirely.
Yeah, it's going to take 20 more minutes.
Yeah, okay then. Well,
no, but yeah, after playing, what did you say, after playing a porn addict?
Well, I'm just hoping, for your sake, more than mine, that you have something, you know, more spirited, maybe a comedy
Peter
next.
Mullen's Neds that just came out, that was here.
Yeah, that was hilarious, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was not a devastated human being in that film, you know. That was like a fun character to play, because she's a model who has, like, you know, she's light, at least, as a character, so it's a little bit different.
So what's coming up next?
Well, I just did a film where I have these eyebrows, and Bryce Howard directed that, so that's something that I'm very excited about. And also, Bryce is just, you know, she's the pinnacle. She's like my #1 director. I love her so much. She's incredible to work with. And Janae Lamarque, who's a female director in America also, she directed a film called Spoonful that Frankie Shaw, actually, Mark Webber's baby mama, and I are in together. And that's coming out too, so that's, you know, I've been doing like lots of films, I've been in lots of other people's movies, and now I'm excited to continue to write and direct my own stuff, both in Scotland and in Los Angeles. So I have communities of filmmakers in both places, and it's really fun. But it's been such a pleasure to be here in London and have these, you know, 2 movies premiering in London at the same time is kind of exciting.
Yeah, very. Well, we're certainly very excited to see whatever you've got next, and it was great to chat with you.
Like a totally different hair color again.
Yeah.
I think you have to say goodbye to the eyebrows because there's no way these are staying.
Yeah, this was an exclusive. You've seen it here first.
Like I'm not going to do another interview. I promise with these. If I have to do another interview with these, I'll go like, sorry.
Yeah, or a burqa maybe.
Yeah, or put my hat on.
Yeah. Well, thanks for chatting with us,
It was
Marianna. It was great.
I'm
Thank you
so
very
glad
much.
that you liked the film. I'm so excited about it.
Oh, loved it. It's really good.